Welcome to Growing Your Firm, brought to you by Jetpack Workflow. We're here to help firms unlock the secrets to help you reach your goals faster. And now, here's your host, founder and CEO of Jetpack Workflow, David Cristello.
Hey everybody, Dave Cristello here, founder and CEO of Jetpack Workflow and host of Growing Your Firm podcast. Today's guest is Brad Schuchardt. He is the founder of BTBK Accounting Services, which specializes in providing full-service accounting solution to restaurants. Their passion is to provide restaurants with accurate, timely, and quality financial information and strategic business insight. We'll get into packaging and pricing here hopefully later in the show and kind of unpack some of those items. He mentions they work with all kinds of restaurants, from large franchise groups to independent restaurants, quick service to fast casual to full service. We're probably going to jump around a little bit in today's interview. There's a lot to unpack. We're obviously going to talk about a little bit of how he got into his niche, how he thinks about it, maybe the way he markets into that niche. I told Brad, hey, you tossed me a bone right before I hit record, which he said the sales pipeline is looking great, which everybody wants, right? So we'll probably get into that, might be related to his niche. We'll talk about some of the process and tools that he put in place to scale up his firm. And time permitting, we'll get into building out a great team that can build the machine while maybe Brad takes a vacation every once in a while. I don't know if that's possible sometimes as a founder. But Brad, welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you, David. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, first question, I think we get a sense of what you provide from the intro, but I'm curious how you've picked the niche for restaurants. Was it organic, or was it kind of like day one you knew you wanted to service that client?
Yeah, it was pretty organic throughout my career, going the traditional CPA route. I ended up in a public accounting firm and was just put into a group, right? They kind of divvy up the interns and you find an industry there pretty quick off the bat. So I was in a group, it was commercial industry, and that was like big box retail, car dealerships, and then restaurants. And so we were doing audits and reviews of franchisors, as they're selling public securities through their FDD, and then large franchisee groups, right? Maybe they own a 50 unit restaurant group and they need an audit or a review for their bank covenants. That's how I kind of got into it, and very quickly fell in love with the industry and the accounting behind it. And ended up, kind of proceeding from there to work for one of my clients who was a franchisor, and then finally starting my own thing and building the firm that we have today.
So when you started your own thing, how did that base get built out? Where did your first 10, 15, 20 clients come from?
Yeah, it's very scary, right? I was actually kind of like secret spy for a little bit, right? Double dipping with my job that I was at, and then, building clients on the side and working nights and all those things. So those early days were obviously rough, as they are for any firm owner who branches out on their own. But, it really came down to the relationships you build throughout your career, right? Actually, my former boss at that public accounting firm had introduced me to a large group, and I was very quickly able to help them with the software that they were using. And that turned into, a long-lasting relationship that we still have today as our first client, which I'm very proud of.
At what revenue threshold or quantity of clients did you make the switch of jumping full-time into your business?
Yeah, it was, it very much evolves as you, grow your firm, right? And in year one, you're kind of taking whatever you can get to pay the bills, right? In year 5 now, I'm more picky as to what I want my team to work on and the type of clients that fit within our group. So I guess initially it was probably like the first 2 to 5 clients, right? Where I could really kind of branch out on my own and get rid of the salary and the paycheck and be comfortable that way.
So somewhere in that first 2 to 5.
Yeah.
And was your calculation, it replaced your salary, or is it like this at least lets me have baseline expenses covered? How did you kind of do the calculus on that?
Yeah, it was certainly a pay cut, let's just say, right? As a CFO of, $100 million entity, I was making good money. And then getting rid of that and building your own thing, it was a step down. But, luckily I have a beautiful wife who's able to help support too and has a good job. And then we were able to just, get by and kind of cut back a little bit until things started to flow a little bit more.
Got it. And in what year did you feel like you kind of turned a corner for your traction and your client and revenue base? And actually, as an additional question, so by year two, were you fully niched down into restaurants, or would you take clients from any industry?
Yeah, I mean, there were certainly some legacy clients, right? Like right away, hey, there's this contractor and we're going to use QuickBooks online, There was definitely some of that because at the time they were very good clients, right? And then as you kind of become more exclusive into your niche and you start to garner interest from more, I like to call them sophisticated clients, right? That started to pare down. So I'd say it would have been into year two where you really focused on that niche. And then from 3 to 5 here, it's been exclusively restaurant based.
Okay. And at a high level, how are you packaging and pricing your services? Is it hourly? Is it fixed fee? Is it value? How do you approach that?
Sure. I really love the fixed fee situation, right? So I can save a lot of my time not chasing down receivables and not keeping track. We keep track of our time, right? To be clear, but to not have to analyze that at a granular level to see what I should bill and what I shouldn't bill and what I should write off. So it's a fixed fee per period per restaurant unit that we charge our clients. And, over the 5 years, I've been able to build like a little matrix, right, of how many units they have and their concept and all these things where I know pretty darn well based on the brand and how many units they have, how long AP is going to take, how long reconciling their sales and their cash are going to take, their sales tax returns, financials, you name it. Been able to figure that out and put a fixed price on it at this point.
Okay, got it. And I guess there might be a wide spectrum here, but what's like an average client? I know it's on a per unit, so maybe a client has a ton of units, maybe they don't have a lot, but I guess maybe what's an average client maybe paying you on a monthly basis?
Sure. It really depends on the package that they've selected through, both our software and what we do for them, as well as like the type of restaurant, right? So a full service restaurant, right? You're thinking full dining and bar. And then we're also not just doing accounting for them, but they are using an inventory platform that we subscribe to manage their recipes and their menu and do their stock counts and everything. That can be, well above, $1,000 to $1,500 a month per location just for that one unit, right? But for like a quick service, right? If you're thinking, fast food or fast casual, simplified menu, right? It's a lot less to manage from an inventory perspective, and that makes account payable a lot easier. So we can have those fees significantly reduced based on the workload there and automation that comes with it.
Yeah. And it just really highlights, the industry so well that you're deeply ingrained in the spectrum of like maybe financial clarity. Where you're talking about inventory, you have, it sounds like, a preferred inventory management software, and you prescribe what they should be using and pull together dashboards based on that. It's much more than just kind of keeping the books, it sounds like, right?
Yeah. Yeah. When I call it full service accounting, I mean, it's a fancy word for bookkeeping, right? But that's it. We are your accounting department, like fully from an outsourced perspective. So we do literally everything that your internal accounting team would do and provide that within that fixed fee.
Okay, so let's jump around the spectrum of the client journey a little bit. So we'll get into fulfillment and team here in a little bit, but talked a little bit about packaging and typical client. You mentioned something, sales pipeline is humming. So what are you doing in the sales arena where the pipeline is so rich?
Yeah. So in a past position, I identified a software that I really liked that's services the restaurant industry exclusively. And when I broke out on my own, I knew right away that that's who I wanted to partner with. So we use a software called Restaurant 365. It is exclusively restaurant industry based. And it's really the only solution that is out there that provides both the accounting function, right? Financial statements and general ledger, as well as the inventory and recipes and menu. So we partner with them early on and are exclusively with them, right? I don't provide anybody financials in QuickBooks. It's all Restaurant 365. And with that, right, I've built a great relationship with them and their sales team over there. So we're to the point where, right, we got a new client, Brad, we're sending the implementation your way. And the way I look at that, David, is one-time fees are great, right? But we're a recurring services industry, right? So we need that recurring revenue to keep going year to year. If I can convert, 20% of those people that I meet from not just me setting them up on the software, but to me providing them accounting on an ongoing basis, that's a huge win. And it's somebody I might not have met otherwise. So their sales team's been great, and we got a really good partnership going here.
I love it. So if I understand correctly, there's this platform. They're kind of the juggernaut in the space. There's, restaurants will come to them because they hear about it. Being the juggernaut, probably a lot of word of mouth, probably advertising. So owner of a restaurant concept will come to them. They'll buy it, but they're like, I'm not going to implement this. And Restaurant 365 will say something like, well, great. We have a bunch of certified partners. You probably love working with Brad and his team. And did you have to pay to be a implementation partner? Like, I think, in HubSpot as an agency, like marketing agencies will be a HubSpot implementer. And I think they have to pay to go through the training, pay to be certified. And then, HubSpot might send deals their way if you're looking for a certain level of implementation. Is that similar for Restaurant 365?
There's a certification process, yes, but not that I had to pay for, right? So the
Okay.
client pays for their software through it. And as we set them up and get trained, I was certified with them. We're their highest level at a platinum channel partner there. And all of our instances have been audited to the point where they feel Brad's team does a great job. We trust them with any client that comes over. And that's how you get to that point where they can start referring to you.
And when you get this implementation fee, A, is it profitable? And B, do you have to do any kickback to Restaurant 365?
Yes, it is profitable. It does take up a lot of my time. I haven't gotten to that point of like building an implementation team, right? So it's really me doing a lot of that work, which is okay because it's growing the business. And I guess, sorry, what was the second question of that?
Is there any kickback to Restaurant 365? Like if they give you a referral, they purchase an implementation package, do you have to give 10% back to Restaurant 365 for the lead or anything like that?
No, I mean, what they're getting is they're getting the, software as a service subscription, right? On a monthly basis. So that's their win and there's no kickback I have to give.
Yeah, it's so smart. And do they host a user conference? Because I feel like, this is the beauty of niching down, right?
Yeah.
Partnerships make a lot of sense. User conferences could be interesting. So is that something they do for their community?
Yes, they have two parts of it, right? They have a user conference from a customer perspective, right? And as a partner, I can like sponsor it and pay to be a part of that, right? They just had that in Austin, Texas, I think just a few weeks ago. And then on the partner side, right, we have our separate summit that we do that's coming up in November. I'm heading out to California for that.
Nice. Okay. So you're getting all these leads. How are you triaging? Are you the sole person managing the sales pipeline? Like, how are you thinking about, the process from a sales prospecting perspective?
Yeah, I mean, right now it is me. I have a good team that helps with, right, doing the accounting, right, all the behind the scenes things. Right now it's me, and I'm trying to hire a really good person, which is very hard to find right now, to kind of be my, partner in all of it. So right now it's yours truly.
Okay. All right. If you're listening, that sounds like you. Send a note to Brad. We'll talk about
Please.
how to get a hold of him later.
Come
That'd
help
be
me.
great. Yeah, it'd be great to be matchmaker through the podcast. Hey everyone, David Cristello here, of course, host of the Growing Your Firm podcast and founder, CEO at Jetpack Workflow. I want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, LiveFlow. Now, we know building financial models can be frustrating, time-consuming, and an error-prone exercise. Well, it's time to say goodbye to manually entering financial data. Embrace automatic updates and streamline financial management. Here's the good news. LiveFlow just launched a new consolidation product. Their automated multi-entity consolidation is simple to use. You can easily map multiple unmatching chart of accounts from multiple QuickBooks Online companies into one standardized report. Now, once it's set up, LiveFlow automatically updates the consolidations in real time so you can focus on analysis using instantly updated data across those entities. LiveFlow can even consolidate financials that are in different currencies. And the possibilities don't stop there. LiveFlow empowers you with flexible, powerful reporting tools to create customized dashboards that meet your specific needs. Build executive presentations, cash flow forecasts, and more with just a few clicks. To stop rolling over manual consolidation reports, visit liveflow.io, that's liveflow.io, and use promo code JETPACK for 20% off. All right, let's get back to the show. So let's talk about behind the scenes then. What's the team size that's doing the fulfillment? What does that look like?
We have 9 associates underneath myself. A typical hierarchy that you would see in a public accounting firm, accounting manager, senior accountant, staff accountant type of hierarchy. Have had some great longevity with people staying on, since I brought them on board, and everything has changed a lot, right? I know COVID seems like it's in the rearview mirror quite a bit, right? But initially it was no problem finding people to come and hang out with me in the office. And then all of that happened and I can't find anybody to come hang out with me in the office. So I'd say my last 5 hires have been remote people, throughout the country, which I've really embraced. Like it's a greater talent pool, right? So to me, it's a good thing. I've been able to find great people wherever they live to do a good job for us and service our clients.
I love it. I think we're going to dig into that remote talent and kind of what where you're finding success there. For the 9 associates you have, you mentioned accounting manager, then underneath them is the senior accountant and the staff accountant. Are they working in like kind of pods, or is there one accounting manager and they're overseeing a number of senior accountants and staff accountants that are make up that 9?
Yeah, it's typically split where you have the accounting manager overseeing the seniors and then the staff, right? And they work on a number of clients, right? So I try to provide some variety in their day, right? Nobody wants to key in invoices all day, right? But in general, there's somebody that is an AP specialist, right? There's somebody who's a sales specialist who is handling that part of a number of different clients.
But how many accounting managers do you have?
I have, let's see. So I got one accounting manager. I'm trying to hire a second right now. And
Okay.
then I have 2 senior accountants and then the rest are staff.
Okay.
And something
And
that's unique to, I guess, to us to just kind of elaborate on that would be 9 seems like a lot, right? Of people to support it is we found great success with flexible hours in the sense of like, it doesn't always need to be 40, right? Maybe 20 works for somebody, maybe 30 works for somebody, maybe it's 35. So we found a really good team of professionals who maybe they've taken off a couple of years for kids stuff and things like that, right? But they are accountants and they do a very good job and they're kind of getting back into it, but they need some flexibility with that. So of that 9, I'd say, there's a lot of part-time flexibility going on.
oh, interesting, interesting. And when you have so you have one we have one spot open for the accounting manager. Is it kind of like one gets half the clients, the other one gets the other half of the clients, or how do you divide and conquer the work?
Yep, that'll be the plan, right? Is to take some load off of me so I can focus on that sales pipeline, right? And have them kind of split the duties. And there's very much a distinction between like a quick service, fast casual, one side focusing on that and the full service side because they're just different monsters.
Okay, interesting. So remote hires, you made 5, recently over the last 12, 24 months. Where are you finding the talent? Are there any unique insights in kind of like maybe the job boards in how you're posting it? Like what have you learned transitioning into the remote hiring world where is a greater talent pool, but sometimes there's more noise as well?
Sure. I joke with people like I should get into another line of business, which is like having a job board or recruiting agency for like former stay-at-home moms, right? It's it's just an unbelievable talent pool because they're professionals who kind of set that aside to focus on family life, which is great. And then they just need an avenue to get back into it. And I feel like a lot of people don't give them an opportunity to do that because there's a big gap in the resume, right? Well, to me, like they're so polite and professional and hard workers and they have the experience and all the tools that you need to be successful. So it's been really a great success for us to kind of get in that avenue. It's just how do you find them, right? So just traditional job boards and interviews and all that stuff and kind of weeding out the people that don't belong to find that right person. But that flexibility is key to them and being able to provide that as a company, I think is very important for me because I have a family. I got 3 kids, like everybody's got stuff going on. So I like to provide that for people so that they know that life is also there. It's not just work.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we've talked about kind of the a broad spectrum: packaging, pricing, scoping, sales, fulfillment. I'm curious, what does your tech stack look like? We don't have to go through every tool, but maybe the top, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 tools that you're using across that client experience.
Yeah. It's a huge part of the business, right? And I'm always fascinated, like as you find things out there, like there's so many things you can choose from and finding the right ones. You don't know until you try it or you demo it. But I've mentioned Restaurant 365. That's a huge piece of it for the accounting side and providing our deliverables, right? Which is financial statements to people. We, right, give you a little kudos here. We use Jetpack for workflow and that's for me, that's been huge as you scale up and you add more people. When it was just me, I could have little Outlook calendar tasks, right? To make sure we're not missing deadlines. You can't do that when you start adding people and you have 9 people. So Jetpack is a great tool for us to be able to manage deadlines and manage assignments and tasks and day to day, and have me not worry that we're going to miss something, because that's my worst nightmare is we miss something and a client's charged a penalty and it's our fault. So Jetpack's huge. Practice Ignition is a really good one for me. We use that for engagement proposals as well as invoicing and payments. So it takes billing completely out of my hands. I'm not chasing receivables. I'm not, worrying about any of that at any point in time. So every month on the first of the month, our client pays the full fee for the month, and, we're paid ahead of time for that work. They can pay ACH or credit card. I absorb the fees, and that's okay because it's saving me time. And for me, that expense is completely worth my time. There were some very awkward moments early on in building the firm where, like, you're the accountant, you pay their bills. And so every week when you're providing their accounts payable aging and you're saying, here's who we should pay, and they strike you from that list, and you're like, well, this is awkward. I'd really like to get paid this week. That for me, like, it was just a no brainer. Like, I'm not doing this anymore. Right.
Yeah.
I can avoid those awkward conversations. I can avoid wondering about my cash flow. It's just automated.
Awesome. Ignition, Jetpack, Restaurant 365. Well, this has been great, Brad. We kind of jumped around a bunch of different places. If somebody wants to reach out, say thank you for coming on, maybe they're that elusive, call it salesperson, which, I mean, they'd be a real hustler if they're listening to these podcasts, picking up industry knowledge, and then they have some sales, skill set. I think that'd be quite wonderful. But if somebody's that person, or they want to reach out with a question, what's the best way for our community to connect with you?
Yeah, you bet. I mean, I'm totally open, right? You could find me on LinkedIn, or my email is brad@bt-bk.com. So please do reach out, right? We're growing continually, looking for all the help we can get. And we do a really good job for our restaurant clients. So I'm proud to say that.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, Brad, this has been a real treat. Kudos on the success. If somebody who's listening couldn't jot down all the notes, what we talked about today, you can always go to jetpackworkflow.com/blog. That's jetpackworkflow.com/blog. Get the full show notes. If you enjoy this interview, leave a 5-star review. Helps us get the word out. It's always great to get these reviews and just get more feedback from the community. And if Brad said something today, maybe it was that Restaurant 365 partnership, and you're like, you know what? I've actually niched down in dental or interior design or whatever. And you're like, I really should apply that to my firm. If he said something that ignited a new idea, share it with a fellow firm owner that maybe needed to hear this as well. That's always the best way to say thanks for coming on. Brad, it's been a real treat, and thanks for the time today.
Thank you, David.
Thank you for joining Growing Your Firm, the podcast series for global, small, and medium-sized businesses ready to scale and increase profits. You can check out more podcasts by following the links in the show notes. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're listening. At Jetpack Workflow, we're all about maximizing returns for accounting firms and CPAs. Check out more podcasts on growing your firm and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.